You're not weak, you're wired. If you've ever been under pressure and suddenly felt like your thinking got worse, like the decision that felt clear just a few minutes ago suddenly feels complicated, or everything starts feeling urgent at the same time, that's not weakness. That's your nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do. Pressure doesn't remove clarity. It speeds up your thinking. When thinking speeds up, something predictable begins to happen. Options narrow, urgency feels convincing, reaction starts to feel necessary. And many leaders interpret that moment as failure. But it isn't failure, it's wiring. Hey everybody, Michael Eatman, Dad CEO. Today we're talking about something that is near and dear to my heart, something that every leader experiences: pressure. Not the dramatic kind, the daily kind. Deadlines, expectations, decisions that affect other people. And when pressure rises, something very predictable happens in the brain. Thinking speeds up. And many people assume that pressure causes their behavior. But pressure rarely creates behavior. Pressure reveals patterns. The way we respond under pressure usually reflects the way we've been practicing, which is why this line matters so much. You don't rise to pressure. What happens is you reveal what you've practiced or what you're practicing. When pressure increases, your nervous system shifts into another speed. Thinking becomes faster and reflection becomes shorter. Reaction becomes easier. This system is incredibly useful when you're trying to survive. But leadership requires something more than speed alone. Leadership requires access to options. When thinking accelerates, the brain simplifies everything. It starts asking, what's the fastest move? What's the safest move I can make? What will reduce the pressure quickly? But the fastest decision isn't always the wisest. Sometimes it's simply the fastest escape or getaway from discomfort. And that's where leaders like you and I get trapped. Let me give you a simple example. I can remember a time when I had a gigantic decision to make that would impact both myself and my family, and I felt a tremendous amount of pressure to get it right. Can you relate to that? As I looked at the clock, I realized that I needed to make the decision. It seemed like the clock was beginning to speed and spin faster and faster and faster. It felt as though if I didn't make a decision at that very moment, everything would be lost. My mind started telling me I wasn't good enough. I wasn't fast enough. I couldn't get it together to take care of business. In that moment, I decided to slow everything down. And that's when I could begin to breathe again for the first time. When I slowed down, I realized that although this decision seemed important, that it was a moment that I could live through. I realized that I had a chance to say, what if this terrible thing happens? Or even if this happens, I'll keep growing. That was so powerful, and that's the power of the pause. When thinking slows down, wisdom speeds up. And this is why urgency can really be misleading. Pressure makes things feel immediate. Emails feel urgent. Messages feel urgent. Decisions feel urgent. But urgency is often a sensation. It's not a strategy. So leaders learn to ask a simple question. Is this truly urgent? Or am I simply uncomfortable? Because discomfort often disguises itself as urgency. And when we react to discomfort instead of clarity, we make decisions that relieve pressure instead of solving problems. Pressure is not a signal that something is wrong. Pressure is often a signal that something matters. Something's at stake. Leadership doesn't eliminate pressure. Leadership governs behavior while pressure is present. This is the skill that restores thinking. Pause. Pause interrupts the speed. Pause helps to widen options. Pause restores access to clarity. Pause first, then decide. Here's a simple reset practice to try. Pause. Take one breath. Name the pressure. Then ask one focused question. What is the next aligned action I can take? Not the fastest action, the aligned action. Leadership isn't about eliminating pressure. It's about practicing how do you respond when pressure knocks at your door. Because pressure doesn't create behavior. It reveals patterns. And patterns can be trained. The more you practice pausing, the more your nervous system learns something very important. Pressure does not require immediate action. It requires thoughtful response. Over time, that pause can become your leadership edge, which brings us back to the core truth. You don't rise to pressure. You reveal what you've practiced. So the real leadership question becomes this today. What are you practicing every day? Pressure often feels like limitation. Options feel smaller, time feels shorter, thinking feels rushed. But limitation can also become an invitation. Because I like to say every limitation is an invitation to access the genius beyond you. If this helped you today, comment, reset. Because pressure will visit your address, but it doesn't have to govern. Pause, then decide.